Most fans of Mother 3 should be familiar with the Friends yo-yo. It's a completely optional weapon, but it serves an interesting story purpose as a treasure to the main antagonist, Porky. And if you believe certain subtext, this special arms toy likely once belonged to Porky's rival, Ness. It's already neat that this prize is yet another bridge between these two games, but its legacy status isn't the sole noteworthy thing about it, because the Friends yo-yo is actually the strongest weapon in the game. Okay, not really, but it does have a unique, albeit useless, power that surprisingly affects every single enemy and boss in the game. If you use this yo-yo in the midst of battle as an item rather than attacking with it, your opponent, no matter who or what they are, will applaud you. This doesn't do anything besides waste a turn with amusing dialogue, but I find it fascinating that no matter the situation, Lucas and his friends can stop fighting to presumably perform a trick the enemy cannot help but clap for. It doesn't matter if they're a machine made for murder, or if they don't have any hands, nobody can resist giving a standing ovation. The Friends yo-yo can only be retrieved in Chapter 5, so how am I using it on this port tank? With the battle memory, which allows us to go back and fight earlier foes with our current loadout. Do you want the Mecha Drago to cheer for you? How about the meanest thing in the desert, the Cactus Wolf? Little Miss Marshmallow, the killer robot assigned by Porky to guard said yo-yo with her life, can even express her appreciation. As is the case with Master Porky himself, despite Lucas having stolen this beloved possession of his. It's especially funny getting him to applaud right before and after the breaks in his monologue. Porky's taking the spotlight and saying some pretty weighty stuff here, but our trusty yo-yo can easily steal the show. Even better is receiving kudos from him while he's sealed inside the absolutely safe capsule. This quirk works to break every moment of intensity, like the last confrontation with the newly reconstructed facade. His horns will eventually break off after sustaining enough damage, which sends him into a rage with a heart full of hatred. Facade is serious now? I wouldn't be too sure about that. I've got a yo-yo. This is all hilarious in context, but the most obvious example of using it to contradict momentous encounters is with the Masked Man, Lucas's revived and roboticized twin brother. The Masked Man is said to no longer have a heart. The wicked actions he's programmed to perform are executed without emotion, and his orders are implied to be projected in monotone. The Masked Man is supposed to be solemn and unflinching, but a yo-yo will delightfully melt his cold demeanor, at least until you close the text box. Getting the Masked Man to act uncharacteristically during this first exchange is one thing, but what about the finale? Lucas can't actually attack or use non-restorative items. You just have to have him defend and heal until Klaus comes to his senses, right? Well, this restriction is partially removed once the Masked Man nearly kills their father with Psy. The voice of their deceased mother will scold Lucas for lashing out, and he'll eventually sometimes miss if you have him physically attack. But any items are fair game, from the moment Flint is struck down until the very end. You know what this means. It's time to rock the baby with our yo-yo. You just gravely injured Dad? Okay, but check out this sick trick. Boney's been passed out for a while over there, but that doesn't mean I can't still walk the dog. Lucas can be at death's door, taking mortal blow after blow. But in this fight, for the fate of the world, he apparently must first show off around the world for his brother. The fact that you are consistently able to do this in between heart-wrenching dialogue kind of ruins the emotional impact. It's amazing this one trinket designed with a forgettable but fun little quirk has that ability. While on the topic of destroying the otherwise perfect delivery of these lines, the yo-yo isn't the only item that can disrupt the mood. Remember, any item at all can be used from Flint's fall to the Masked Man removing his helmet. I was able to show off some DCMC boxers, let loose a pretty dragonfly, and I even tried to barter with a nut for old time's sake. Theoretically, if I still had some dung in Salsa's inventory when he briefly rejoined the party back in Chapter 7, I could have passed it off to Lucas and stored it for this moment too. I promise to get footage of that in my next playthrough of the game. Well, this has been an odd little video. I had initially planned for it to be uncommentated, in a similar vein to my other secret showcases, but I realized that this would be pretty fun to talk about. Let me know what you thought of this style in the comments, and if you'd like to see more of the unusual ways in which you can play around in the world of Mother 3. Thanks for watching.